You are the programmer of your mind, and everything that exists in your life today is simply the result of the software you've been running unconsciously for years. The thoughts that fill your head, the beliefs that sit in your heart, the words that escape your mouth, all of them come from lines of mental code written by repetition, experience, and influence. Somewhere along the line, you accepted certain limitations, certain doubts, and certain definitions of who you are supposed to be. You didn't create them consciously. They were downloaded from society, from your parents, from your teachers, from your past failures and disappointments. You have been living a program that you didn't even write, and that is why life often feels like you are trapped in someone else's story. The truth is, your mind is like a high-powered computer, but it only runs the programs it's been given. If those programs are corrupted with fear, insecurity, and self-doubt, then no matter how powerful the system, it will still produce weak results. You can't expect success from a mind that's been trained to anticipate failure. You can't expect wealth from a mindset condition to believe money is evil. You can't expect love from a heart that's been programmed to feel unworthy. The system only gives you what you've told it to give you. And every day you reinforce that program by what you allow yourself to think, say, and feel. Every result in your life is evidence of the code running in your subconscious. Your habits, your income, your relationships, your confidence, all of it is a reflection of the beliefs you've accepted as truth. This is why most people never truly change. They try to fix their actions without changing their code. They want to earn more without reprogramming how they think about value, work, or money. They want better relationships without reprogramming how they see themselves and others. The transformation they desire can never happen externally until it first happens internally. The external world always mirrors the internal one. When you begin to see yourself as the programmer, you start to realize that power has been in your hands all along. You don't need to wait for approval, opportunity, or permission. You can start rewriting your own code now. It begins by recognizing that every single thought is an instruction to your subconscious mind. Every time you repeat something like, I can't, I'm not ready, or I don't have enough, you're issuing a command to your inner operating system. And the subconscious doesn't argue, it doesn't debate, it simply executes the order. So if you say, I can't do it, your mind says, understood. Let's not even try. That's why awareness is the first step to freedom. You must catch the moment when the old programming shows up and decide consciously to override it. That's what true mental discipline looks like. It's not about forcing positivity. It's about taking responsibility for your input. You begin to replace thoughts of lack with thoughts of abundance. You replace I can't with I will. You replace I'm not enough with I'm growing every day. The first few times you do this, it might feel fake, forced, even uncomfortable. That's because your old code is fighting for its life. But if you stay consistent, repetition will rewire your neural pathways. Your new thoughts will begin to feel more natural, more automatic, more powerful. It's like updating an operating system. At first, the new version feels strange, and you miss the familiarity of the old one, even if it didn't serve you well. But once the new system stabilizes, everything runs smoother, faster, better. That's how your mind adapts to higher levels of thinking. The moment you commit to rewriting your mental code, you start the process of transformation that no one can undo. Because when the mind changes, the life must follow. Your external results have no choice but to match your internal beliefs. Being the programmer of your mind means you no longer play the role of a victim. You can no longer say, I had no choice. You always have a choice, even if it's only the choice to think differently about what's happening. You are the one who decides what meaning to assign to events, what stories to tell about yourself, and what direction to take from here. Life doesn't respond to what happens to you. It responds to what you believe about what happens to you. That's the power of programming. It's not about control, it's about conscious creation. Most people live their whole lives waiting for circumstances to change before they decide to think differently. But you are learning to think differently first so that circumstances begin to change. You stop reacting and start creating. You stop following the default path and begin writing your own script. You stop depending on luck and start depending on the law of cause and effect, the law that says your inner world governs your outer experience. When you grasp that you move from feeling helpless to feeling unstoppable, you realize that if you can choose what to think, then you can choose what to believe. If you can choose what to believe, then you can choose what to become. And once you choose what to become, the world around you will start rearranging itself to match that choice. That's the power of taking ownership of your mental code. It's not about manipulating reality. It's about aligning your mind with the truth that you are the author of it. So you begin every day with a question: what am I programming into my mind today? Because whether you realize it or not, you are always being programmed. Either you write the code or someone else does. Either you install faith or the world installs fear. Either you choose purpose or distractions choose for you. The mind will always run a program. It's your job to decide which one. Reprogramming your subconscious with intention means taking full control of what you allow to take root in the soil of your mind. Most people live unconsciously, letting random thoughts, words, and opinions shape how they see themselves in the world. But if you want to experience a new level of success, peace, and power, you must become intentional about what you feed your mind. The subconscious is fertile ground. It doesn't reject what you plant. Whatever seeds you allow in, positive or negative, it will nurture them until they grow into beliefs, habits, and results. That's why being deliberate about what you think and say is the foundation of transformation. Every belief that rules your life today started as a single thought. Maybe someone told you that you weren't good enough and you believed it. Maybe you failed once and decided you'd always fail. Over time, repetition made those thoughts feel like truth. The subconscious doesn't care whether something is true or false. It only cares about what's repeated with emotion. When you keep telling yourself the same story, your mind accepts it as law. That's why changing your life begins with changing your internal dialogue. You must interrupt the old narrative and consciously install a new one that supports the person you're becoming. To reprogram your subconscious, you must understand its language, emotion, repetition, and imagery. It doesn't respond to logic or reasoning. It responds to feeling and consistency. You can't just say affirmations once and expect change. You have to speak them until they feel real, until your body believes them. You must visualize the life you want until it becomes more familiar than the one you're living now. You must attach emotion to your new beliefs because emotion is the signal that tells the subconscious, this matters. The more you feel it, the faster it rewires. Intentional reprogramming is not about lying to yourself. It's about replacing the lies you've already accepted with truth. The lie says you're not capable. The truth says you were designed with power, creativity, and purpose. The lie says it's too late. The truth says time bends to the one who acts with conviction. The lie says success is for others. The truth says success is for the one who believes deeply enough to move. You are not making things up. You are remembering who you really are before the world convinced you otherwise. You begin by listening to your inner language. Every complaint, every excuse, every word of doubt is a command to your subconscious. When you say, I can't, your mind accepts it as a rule. When you say, I will find a way, your mind begins looking for one. Words are programming tools, and every sentence you speak is a line of code. That's why you must guard your speech and refuse to speak limitation over your life. The more you repeat empowering language, the more your subconscious aligns with your desired outcome. Reprogramming also requires consistency. The old thoughts won't disappear overnight because they've been reinforced for years. Every time you doubted yourself, every time you feared rejection, every time you hesitated, that pattern became stronger. Now, you must replace those patterns with faith-driven, purpose-filled repetition. Every day you affirm your vision, you're digging a new mental groove. Every time you act in alignment with that vision, you strengthen the new path. Over time, the new becomes natural and the old fades into the background. You cannot expect your subconscious to believe in abundance while you constantly feed it scarcity. You cannot expect confidence to grow while you entertain thoughts of inferiority. The subconscious mirrors what it receives most often. That's why you must surround yourself with messages, sounds, and people who reinforce your desired belief system. Listen to words that inspire you, read material that stretches you, and repeat thoughts that align with your goals. Every input becomes instruction, and the subconscious is always listening. It's also crucial to understand that your subconscious doesn't work against you. It simply follows orders. If you give it confusion, it will produce chaos. If you give it clarity, it will organize your world accordingly. The more detailed your vision, the faster your subconscious begins constructing it in reality. That's why visualization and affirmation work. They give the subconscious a blueprint to follow. The clearer the picture, the stronger the emotional charge, the quicker the manifestation. Reprogramming with intention means living with awareness. You no longer let thoughts drift unchecked. You pause, examine, and redirect them. When fear shows up, you don't feed it, you replace it. When doubt whispers, you speak truth louder. Every thought becomes an opportunity to reinforce the identity you choose to live by. Over time, this conscious control becomes second nature. You don't have to force belief. Belief becomes automatic because your subconscious now works for you, not against you. The mind you're shaping is like a garden. Whatever you water will grow. If you water doubt, you'll harvest delay. If you water faith, you'll harvest results. Reprogramming is the daily act of choosing what to water. It's waking up each morning and deciding what thoughts deserve your attention. It's understanding that the subconscious is your servant, not your master. It's realizing that when you feed your mind with faith, vision, and determination, your subconscious will work tirelessly to make that your new reality. Repetition creates transformation because the human mind learns through consistency, not intensity. One powerful act done once may inspire you, but what you do every single day engraves itself into your subconscious. Every thought you repeat becomes a habit, and every habit becomes a part of your identity. The subconscious doesn't know right or wrong. It only knows what's familiar. So if you repeatedly think thoughts of weakness, it will make weakness feel comfortable. If you repeat thoughts of strength and success, it will make victory feel natural. Change doesn't happen because you wish for it. It happens because you install it through repetition until the new belief becomes automatic. The way transformation happens in the brain is through neural pathways. When you think a thought, you're creating an electrical connection. When you repeat that thought over and over, the connection gets stronger, more efficient, more permanent. That's why the first time you try to change a belief, it feels awkward or fake. Your brain is literally trying to fire in a new direction, and it takes energy to do that. But the more you repeat the new thought, the easier it becomes until it takes no effort at all. That's when transformation stops being something you try to do and becomes something you naturally are. Repetition is the law that turns faith into fact. You may say, I am powerful, one time and feel nothing. But if you say it every morning, every night, every moment you doubt yourself, your mind begins to adjust to that vibration. Soon, you won't just be saying it, you'll start believing it. And once you believe it, your actions will align with it. The world outside will begin to bend to the certainty inside you. That's how transformation works. You can't expect a single spark to light a permanent fire. You must keep feeding it until the flame sustains itself. Most people fail to change because they want instant results. They plant a new seed today and expect a forest tomorrow. But repetition is about patience and persistence. The subconscious doesn't shift overnight. It needs to be reminded, reinforced, and retrained. You must speak your affirmations even when you don't see change. You must visualize your success even when your reality still looks the same. Every repetition is a brick laid in the foundation of your new identity. The more bricks you lay, the stronger the structure becomes. Eventually, the old version of you can no longer stand because the new one has been built too solidly to fall. It's not about forcing transformation, it's about conditioning it. Just as muscles grow through repeated use, your mental strength grows through repeated focus. You can't go to the gym once and expect lifelong strength. You go daily pushing, stretching, building. The mind is no different. You must exercise belief until it becomes natural. You must train gratitude until it becomes instinct. You must practice peace until chaos no longer shakes you. Repetition isn't glamorous, but it's what turns knowledge into wisdom and desire into discipline. When you practice repetition with emotion, transformation accelerates. The subconscious listens most closely to what you feel deeply. If you repeat an affirmation without feeling it, it registers as weak data. But when you repeat it with emotion, when you say, I am unstoppable, with conviction, when you visualize your future with excitement, your subconscious interprets it as urgent, as truth, as identity. The combination of repetition and emotion is what burns the new belief into your nervous system until it becomes who you are. Rituals are the structure that keeps repetition alive. The mind thrives on routine. When you create consistent rituals, like morning declarations, midday gratitude, or nightly reflection, you're giving your subconscious a schedule for renewal. It begins to anticipate the new input. It starts expecting the words you feed it, craving the energy you bring. That's when transformation gains momentum because your mind no longer resists the change. It starts cooperating with it. Repetition doesn't just change your thoughts, it changes your emotions and actions. The more you repeat empowering ideas, the more you start to feel differently about yourself. That shift in emotion influences your behavior, and your new behavior produces new outcomes. Those outcomes reinforce your beliefs even further, creating a cycle of growth. That's why small, consistent efforts outperform sporadic bursts of motivation. It's not the intensity of one moment that changes you. It's the persistence of many moments that shape who you become. There's a hidden beauty in repetition. It replaces effort with ease. What was once difficult becomes natural. What used to require discipline becomes automatic. You no longer need to force yourself to think positively or act confidently because your subconscious has learned that this is who you are. The repetition has sculpted a new normal, and anything less feels unnatural. You become the person you once struggled to believe you could be, not through luck or chance, but through deliberate, repetitive creation. Every great transformation story in history has repetition at its core. The successful speak their vision daily. The disciplined act on their priorities daily. The faithful meditate on truth daily. They all understand that consistency is the bridge between desire and reality. The difference between those who wish and those who win is repetition. It is the quiet, unseen act of showing up for yourself again and again, even when no one claps, even when no result appears, until one day the repetition becomes revelation, the undeniable proof that change was happening all along. Environment shapes mindset because the human mind is a mirror. It reflects whatever it is surrounded by. No matter how strong or intelligent a person may be, they eventually begin to absorb the energy, beliefs, and expectations of their surroundings. You cannot stay in a negative environment and expect to maintain a positive mind. The conversations you hear, the attitudes you witness, and the atmosphere you dwell in all leave invisible fingerprints on your thinking. The people around you are either watering your faith or starving it. That's why being intentional about your environment is not optional. It's essential to your growth. Everything in your environment carries a vibration that influences your thoughts. The music you listen to, the media you consume, the books you read, and the spaces you live in are all programming your subconscious in the background. If your environment is filled with noise, clutter, and chaos, your mind will reflect the same confusion. But when your space is clean, calm, and focused, your mind begins to mirror that order. Your surroundings are constantly talking to your subconscious, shaping what it believes is normal. If you want to elevate your thinking, you must first elevate what your environment tells your mind to expect. The people you spend time with are one of the most powerful environmental forces in your life. Humans naturally imitate the energy around them. If you walk with those who complain, you'll start to find more reasons to complain. If you walk with those who believe, you'll start to find more reasons to believe. The mind adjusts its temperature to match the emotional climate of the group. That's why successful people guard their circle so carefully. They know energy is contagious. You can't soar if you're surrounded by people who are comfortable crawling. Your environment also dictates your standards. When you're surrounded by mediocrity, average begins to feel acceptable. You stop reaching for excellence because no one around you demands it. But when you enter an environment of high standards, your mind automatically expands to meet them. You start thinking differently, working differently, and believing differently because the environment calls something greater out of you. This is why proximity matters. You grow into the level of expectation that surrounds you. Changing your environment doesn't always mean moving to a new place. Sometimes it means changing what you allow to influence you. It's about curating your mental space. You can live in the same city, but if you change what you read, what you listen to, and who you give your attention to, you're already living in a new environment. Every piece of content you consume, every word you entertain, every emotion you tolerate either strengthens or weakens your mindset. You can't build a powerful mind in a powerless environment. And that includes the invisible environment of your thoughts. When you intentionally design your environment to reflect your goals, you make transformation effortless. Your surroundings begin to work for you instead of against you. A vision board on the wall reminds your mind where you're going. Inspirational music in the background keeps your spirit lifted. Clean spaces invite focus and clarity. Each small environmental change becomes a silent ally in your growth. The more your environment supports your mindset, the less resistance you feel in pursuing your purpose. It's important to understand that your environment doesn't just influence your thoughts, it validates them. When you're around people who see greatness in you, your mind finds evidence to believe it. When you're in spaces that value learning, your mind feels encouraged to grow. But when you're surrounded by doubt and negativity, even your strongest ideas begin to feel unrealistic. The subconscious constantly looks for external proof to confirm its internal beliefs. So if you want to change what your mind believes, change the environment it uses for evidence. The wrong environment can drain your ambition faster than any failure. You might wake up motivated, but if your surroundings are filled with complaints, distractions, or small-mindedness, that motivation will evaporate by midday. The environment you stay in the longest becomes your internal weather. If it rains doubt all day, you can't expect your confidence to shine. That's why you must protect your atmosphere like your future depends on it, because it does. The right environment will feed your dreams even when your energy runs low. When you step into an environment of vision and purpose, something inside you comes alive. You begin to think on a higher frequency, to dream with more confidence, to act with more urgency. The right environment gives you permission to become your fullest self. It doesn't just motivate you, it activates you. You start to see new possibilities because the environment reflects back a version of you that's already thriving. Surroundings like that don't just support transformation, they accelerate it. Your environment is a silent mentor, teaching you what's possible every day without speaking a word. If you walk into a place filled with excellence, your subconscious immediately adjusts to excellence. If you stay in a place of limitation, your mind accepts limitation as reality. That's why transformation begins not only in your thoughts, but also in the atmosphere you live in. Every sound, sight, and interaction becomes part of the program shaping your destiny. The energy you keep around you today determines the future you'll step into tomorrow. Acting as if you already are the person you're becoming is one of the most powerful principles of transformation, because the subconscious mind learns through experience. It doesn't distinguish between what's real and what's vividly imagined. It only knows what you repeatedly feel and act upon. When you start behaving like the version of yourself you want to be, you are sending a clear message to your subconscious that this is who you are now. The body begins to adapt, your confidence adjusts, your decisions align, and your energy starts attracting situations that match that identity. You begin to embody your future before it physically arrives. The biggest mistake people make when trying to change is waiting to feel ready. They want proof before they act, results before they believe, confidence before they move. But that's not how transformation works. You don't wait until you feel worthy. You act worthy until worthiness becomes your natural state. You don't wait until you feel successful. You start carrying yourself with the posture and mindset of success until your reality catches up. Action precedes feeling. The motion trains the emotion. Every time you act as if you already are, you build evidence in your subconscious that reinforces that identity. The power of acting as if lies in its ability to break the cycle of limitation. Most people operate from their current circumstances. They think, decide, and behave based on what they can see. But to create change, you must act from vision, not from condition. You must move as if the breakthrough has already happened, as if the door is already open, as if the resources are already available. When you do that, your energy shifts from desperation to expectation, from doubt to certainty. That shift is magnetic. It draws opportunities that match your new frequency. Acting as if is not pretending, it's aligning. Pretending comes from fear. It tries to hide what isn't real. Acting as if comes from faith. It expresses what's becoming real. You're not faking success. You're aligning your behavior with your higher truth. The person you aspire to be already exists within you. Acting as if is the process of giving that version of you permission to take over. You begin dressing, speaking, walking, and deciding from that identity. Every action becomes a declaration of who you've chosen to be, not who you used to be. When you act as if, your mind begins to build a new pattern of familiarity. The subconscious loves familiarity. It wants to keep you safe by repeating what it knows. If you keep acting like the old version of yourself, it will keep producing the same results. But when you act as the new version consistently, that identity becomes the new familiar. The subconscious begins to accept it as normal, and once something becomes normal in your mind, it becomes inevitable in your life. This is why small, consistent actions matter. They're not just habits, they're identity signals. The energy of as if carries creative power. When you act as if, you start seeing the world through a new lens. Opportunities you once ignored begin to appear because your perception has shifted. People respond differently because your energy communicates differently. You speak with conviction instead of hesitation, and others feel that. The outer world starts rearranging itself to match the inner world you've chosen. The universe mirrors identity. It doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what you are. Acting as if also demands courage because it requires you to behave beyond your current evidence. You might feel unqualified, but you show up anyway. You might not have all the answers, but you take the step anyway. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to move while fear still lingers. Every courageous act expands your identity. Each time you take action beyond your comfort zone, your subconscious learns a new lesson that you're capable of more than you thought. Bit by bit, fear loses authority and confidence becomes your new default. To sustain this practice, you must surround yourself with reminders of the person you're becoming. Your environment, your routines, and your relationships should all reflect your new identity. The clothes you wear, the way you speak to yourself, the way you spend your time, all of it sends signals to your subconscious. When every part of your life aligns with your new self-image, transformation happens faster because there's no contradiction between your belief and your behavior. Consistency between thought and action creates momentum. Acting as if also teaches discipline because it demands daily commitment. You can't act like your future self for one day and expect lifelong change. You must live that identity repeatedly until it becomes automatic. At first, it feels like you're playing a role. Soon, you realize you become the role. The new mindset, posture, and confidence stop being something you put on. They become something you are. That's the moment your external results start catching up to your internal decision. When you decide to act as if, you stop chasing transformation and start embodying it. You stop saying, someday I will, and start saying, today I am. Every action, no matter how small, becomes a statement of belief. You no longer beg for your future, you behave like it's already yours. The gap between who you are and who you're becoming begins to close with every intentional step you take. The repetition of those steps rewires your subconscious until the line between desire and reality disappears completely. The final and most transformative step in brainwashing yourself for success is mastering your environment and associations. No matter how strong your mindset, no matter how powerful your affirmations, if you remain surrounded by conversations, habits, and influences that contradict your vision, you'll be pulled back into the very mindset you're trying to escape. The environment you stay in either feeds your future or reinforces your past. Your surroundings are not neutral. They are always shaping you, molding your thoughts, and defining what you believe is possible. If you want to create a new reality, you must first create a new environment that reflects the reality you desire. Your environment is more than physical, it's mental, emotional, and spiritual. It's the people you listen to, the content you consume, and the energy you allow into your space. Every sound, every word, every influence plants seeds in your subconscious. When you surround yourself with negativity, gossip, or small-minded thinking, your vision starts to shrink because you unconsciously adjust to the energy around you. But when you intentionally build an environment of growth, books that challenge you, mentors that stretch you, conversations that elevate you, you begin to think differently. You begin to see possibilities where others see problems, and that shift alone can change the course of your destiny. You become like the people you spend the most time with, whether you want to or not. Energy is contagious. If you constantly surround yourself with those who complain, doubt, or fear the future, it's only a matter of time before that energy seeps into you. But if you intentionally connect with people who dream, plan, execute, and believe, their energy begins to raise your standards. Association is a silent teacher. It teaches you how to think, how to behave, how to believe. That's why successful people protect their circles so fiercely. They understand that environment can either reinforce faith or magnify fear. Building a new environment may require separation, and that's where many people hesitate. It might mean walking away from certain friendships, distancing yourself from certain conversations, or spending more time alone so you can rebuild your foundation. Loneliness is not a punishment when it leads to clarity. Isolation can be the greatest incubator of transformation if you use it to reconstruct your inner world. When you step away from noise and distractions, your thoughts become clearer, your goals become sharper, and your inner voice becomes louder. In that silence, your mind begins to align with your true purpose. One of the most effective ways to transform your environment is to immerse yourself in words that elevate your spirit. Listen to motivational messages, read books that challenge your old beliefs, and write affirmations that reflect your new identity. Speak power into your atmosphere daily. The words you repeat not only shape your mindset, they saturate your surroundings with belief. Over time, your space becomes charged with intention. Even when you walk into your home, you feel the vibration of your commitment. Every wall, every corner becomes a reminder of the person you're becoming. Consistency is the key to making your environment a force of transformation. You can't fill your mind with positivity once a week and expect lifelong change. You must immerse yourself daily. Let growth become your atmosphere. Play empowering audio while you work. Place vision reminders where you can see them, and eliminate everything that drains your energy or distracts your focus. The goal is to make it impossible to forget who you're becoming. When your surroundings reflect your purpose, your discipline becomes automatic because Everything around you supports your direction. Your environment also includes what you feed your senses.